Chapter 635, Man-Eating Flower. At the entrance of the Man-Eating Flower bar, a figure strode in. A woman, neither towering nor petite, clad in a conservative, deep black dress, caught everyone's attention. Her eyebrows were meticulously drawn, her skin thickly powdered, and her cheeks adorned with noticeable blush. Her lips shone gorgeously, and the area around her eyes sparkled with gem-like hues. Despite the woman's excessive makeup and unconventional style, her captivating brown eyes, high nose bridge, luscious lips, and curvaceous figure emitted a potent charm. Male patrons in the bar shifted their gazes to the door, momentarily silent. Only when the woman acknowledged a few customers with an aloof nod did the atmosphere spring to life. Some attempted conversation, while others raised their voices at their companions, trying to make an impression on her. Without lingering, the woman navigated through the crowd and settled on the opposite side of the bar counter. Unique. If Franca were here, she'd surely strike up a conversation. Lumian felt a twinge of regret for his companion and averted his gaze. He smiled at the bartender and commented, "That lady seems quite popular." The bartender wiped away the expression reserved for new adventurers and replied sternly, "She's my boss." Boss? Lumian suddenly recalled the bar's name and asked thoughtfully, "Man-Eating Flower." "It's her." The bartender lowered his voice and approached the beautifully made-up woman of indeterminate age. He poured her a glass of some unknown brand of Black Rand. After the bartender returned, Lumian asked curiously, "Why does she have the nickname Man-Eating Flower? She seems very popular." The bartender instinctively turned his head, observing his boss as she focused on her drink and surveyed the patrons nearby. Leaning in, he whispered, "In Port Pylos, women of her caliber often relish the pursuit and adulation of men but keep them at arm's length. Our boss, however, is different. If she takes a liking to you, she'll extend an invitation for a memorable night. Sometimes, we can hear her passion echoing through the halls upstairs." The bartender paused, a mix of nostalgia and desire evident on his face. "Pleasure?" Lumian subtly frowned and inquired with a smile, "Have you ever been the object of her affections?" The bartender fell silent. For a moment, Lumian wondered if the other would smash his head with the cup in hand. Changing the subject, Lumian asked, "Aren't there brash men who try to force themselves on your boss?" The bartender sighed and replied, "Remember the name of our bar." "Man-Eating Flower, is that what it means?" Lumian grasped the meaning. The bartender elaborated, "Those who tried to force themselves on our boss ended up badly. Some were severely injured or thrown down the stairs. Others simply vanished. Even those who caught her eye would be pale the next day, legs unsteady. They couldn't walk properly. That's why she's called Man-Eating Flower. She embraces it. Eventually, she named the bar after it. This is a departure from the demonesses of pleasure's style, but each demoness has her own unique approach. Franca, a demoness of pleasure, stands out from the rest. Lumian's curiosity sated. He didn't delve further into the bar owner. Instead, he retrieved an ordinary deck of poker cards from his traveler's bag and asked, "Have you come across anyone using poker cards as a weapon recently?" According to Anthony Reed's analysis of Hisoka, a key member of April Fools, Hisoka had a strong inclination towards self-expression. After successfully creating the poker card with the ability to change its face, possessing frost and cut characteristics, it was clear he wouldn't limit its use to mere April Fool's pranks. When engaged in combat or carrying out acts of violence, he wouldn't hesitate to employ the mystical item to end his target's life. This information presented a promising lead for investigation. Regarding the two pranks orchestrated by Hisoka, they revolved around Matani and were linked to relatively confidential or significant local affairs. Individuals who weren't locals or lacked prolonged residence wouldn't spontaneously choose this area unless they also possessed ample information to support their actions. Lumian reasonably suspected that Hisoka's original sphere of activity centered on Matani and its neighboring regions. This rationale prompted his journey to Matani, despite believing that Hisoka had likely heeded Loki's warning and evaded capture, concealing himself. Understanding Hisoka's past was crucial to deciphering his present and ending his future. The native bartender scoffed at Lumian's inquiry. Do you think I'd have that information? Consult the patrol team. Whether they choose to answer is another matter. Patrol team, Lumion didn't mind and nodded slightly. Established by Admiral Quiraril, the ruler of Matani, the Among Beyonders. In this state, following the withdrawal of most Inti's colonial forces, the Church of the Eternal Blazing Sun, the Church of God of Steam and Machinery, and the new Cathedral of the Church of Earth Mother lacked official authority to enforce the law. While these churches maintained Beyonder teams in their cathedrals across different cities, their jurisdiction was limited to self-defense and safeguarding believers within the cathedral. They couldn't address matters akin to their usual spheres of influence or eliminate potential hidden dangers. Admiral Quiraril entrusted the corresponding authority to the newly formed patrol team. Some of the patrol team's Beyonders were veterans from Admiral Quiraril's army, while others were remnants of the former Balam Empire or former adventurers and bounty hunters. What a simple name, Lumion pondered for a moment as he glanced at the few wanted posters on the wall. Admiral Quiraril doesn't want adventurers turning Matani into a hunting paradise. He doesn't want them brawling on the streets under the guise of pursuing targets on wanted posters. The bartender shot Lumion a surprised look. You're quite sharp for an adventurer. In Matani, the wanted status is earned through crimes committed here. No one cares about your actions elsewhere. As expected of one of the adventure paradises, Lumion lifted the kulju and finished it. Just as he was about to switch to a glass of West Balam, specific liquor to savor its distinct flavors, he felt a gaze upon him. It was the owner of the man-eating flower bar, the woman in the black dress with exquisite makeup. Lumion nodded calmly and shifted his focus back to the bartender. While this man-eating flower was undoubtedly attractive, she couldn't match a demoness in terms of feminine allure. Additionally, Lumion wasn't fond of heavy makeup. At that moment, the woman rose from her seat and sauntered over to Lumion. She curled her lips and remarked, "I can sense that you're like me, a living volcano, but it hasn't erupted yet. You're still enduring and waiting in pain. Tonight, are you willing to feel my passion?" Lumion raised his right hand and stroked his face. "You're taken with me just like that. Come to think of it, I've been a hit with the ladies since my youth. Being a hunter, I've often found myself surrounded by all sorts of beauties. Could this be the subtle influence of the True Men pathway? It doesn't add up. According to the Adventurer series and recent sea rumors, Mr. Fool's oracle, Danitz, is also from the hunter pathway, yet his romantic endeavors were fruitless, and he doesn't boast any notable female companions." Lumion muttered internally and stood up. He offered a smile and inquired, "How should I address you?" "Belosha." The woman's smile relaxed, making Lumion feel that she might appear even more stunning without her heavy makeup. Lumion took off his golden straw hat, pressed it to his chest, and bowed slightly. "Madame Belosha, I appreciate your invitation, but there's someone else I hold dear." As he spoke, he disregarded Belosha's slightly stiffened expression and made his way past the man-eating flower, heading for the bar's entrance with composed demeanor. Belosha didn't stop him. Like numerous patrons in the bar, she observed as he swung open the sturdy wooden door and stepped out. As the wooden door thudded shut behind him, Lumion sneered and muttered to himself, "I can resist even the charm of a demoness of pleasure. Why take the risk with a woman of unknown origins? Using someone I like as an excuse is already preserving your dignity. If you still seek revenge, I won't hold back." Having left the bar early, Lumion wandered through the nearby streets, exploring secluded alleys in hopes of stumbling upon incidents or criminals to gather information. After turning a few corners, he suddenly heard a clanging sound emanating from a dark and deserted alley. Silently, Lumion approached and delved into the alley. There, he witnessed an intense battle between two men. One, with evident native characteristics, appeared in his 20s. His face was pallid, and he wielded a sharp but hefty dagger in his right hand. His left palm was slightly open, and a dark shadow hovered in it, creating a chilling atmosphere. The other, in his early 30s, had ordinary facial features and an expressionless demeanor. Short, black hair framed his face, and his dark green eyes were encircled by white. Clad in a plain white shirt and black pants, He wielded longer, sharper weapons resembling scalpels in each hand. At this moment, the two engaged in a fierce battle, their weapons clashing rapidly, resonating with metallic clangs. Observing the skirmish, Lumion recognized that these weren't ordinary individuals. They both bore Beyonder characteristics. Halting his advance, Lumion nonchalantly stood with his hands in his pockets, his right foot propped up against the wall. He unabashedly observed the close-quarters combat between these Beyonders.